Thank you for listening on Anchor and Spotify, where all topics are welcomed. You can follow HB on Facebook at Uncomfortable In-House Convo with HB, where you can be in direct contact with HB and his followers. There will be Q&As, polls, and updates on future show topics and guest opportunities. If you want to be a featured sponsor, you can email HB at uncomfortableinhouseconvo@gmail.com. Now grab your glass and get ready for Uncomfortable In-House Conversations with HB, the podcast.
Hello, thank you for tuning in to Uncomfortable In-House Conversations with HB. Today we have a special guest here, the State Representative, Miss Anika Omphroy. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, HB. It's nice to see you after all these years.
Thank you. It's good seeing you too. By the way, we grew up together from elementary school.
Tiny tots.
So, yeah, man, and I want to say that I'm very proud of you. Just on that yourself. I wish, earlier, well, my daughter should be able to see it because she's big on, young black girl magic.
I love it.
Yeah, so I want to dive into, this a little bit. You're running for Congress.
I am.
Okay.
I am.
Tell me a little bit about that. What will be the difference between being in this,
The
state, yes, to Congress?
So the state house, the one similarity is that I'm already a lawmaker. So I
Right.
create laws for the 22 million people in the state of Florida, and I've created 4 laws since getting elected to office in 2018. So that's the one similarity. The budgets are completely different. Like in the Florida House of Representatives, we deal in the billions.
Uh-huh.
In the U.S. Congress, they deal in the trillions.
Okay.
But one of the things that's extremely important is that our state system is mirrored after our federal system.
Okay.
So in the state system, the governor, the legislature, which is the Florida House and the Florida Senate, and the the Supreme Court are all even.
Okay.
Right? And then you have all the other branches of government, and it's the same mirror on the federal level. So you have the president, and then you have the U.S. Supreme Court, and then you have the U.S. Congress, which includes the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House. So those are some of the similarities. And so the transition, 60% of the black people who have been elected to the U.S. Congress happen to have been state legislators. So Barack Obama, Marcia Fudge, a lot of the elected officials that we look at now and we're like, oh my goodness, they're
Right.
so amazing. They came from your state legislature.
Okay, great. That's need to know information. I appreciate that. Also, too, I would like to just talk a little bit about grassroots because we're big on grassroots. A lot of our people in the community don't understand how important grassroots are, especially laws and things that's made just in our community that affect us right now. A lot of us, when we were speaking earlier, I was saying that a lot of us are just maybe not know so much about how it works, and they think, okay, once we get our president in, that's where it stops. And it really doesn't. It really starts where when we have issues about policing, and we have issues about just as far as insurance, and things of that nature. We don't really understand, and this particular reason why I brought you on here too.
So you're 100% correct. President is important, but the people that touch your everyday lives are your city elected officials, your county elected officials. They deal with your everyday lives, right? And then your state elected officials, they're the ones that map out your roads, your waterways. If your canals aren't cleaned out correctly
Right.
because they don't help fund it, your cities can't afford it, that's when we have flooding.
Right.
So it is your children's education are touched by multiple levels. So it's touched by your state elected officials. It's also touched by your federal, because federal gives us some guidelines, right? So yeah, but your city, your county elected officials, they need your support. They need to understand what you think about things, and how you feel about things. Ordinances, laws, they're created from public input. And you have a right as you need to exercise your right and participate in your government more often. We work for you.
Right.
So as long as you remember that we the people, pick up the phone and call. I call whether they're Republican or Democrat.
Right.
If I need their help, I call.
It doesn't matter.
And I want them to answer. And I got things I need them to solve, just like everybody else. And so get involved in your everyday government, your city, your county, your state. Your president is not the end all be all. First of all, your president can't create any laws. He
Right.
has executive orders.
Orders, right.
And then when he leaves, the next president can say bye to that executive order.
As we have seen ourselves.
We have seen it.
My next question is another thing I'm kind of want to know. Okay, so it seems like, you know, here when we vote, especially for governor and all that. So I believe that, you know, from maybe Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Summer Palm Beach is a Democratic, you know. How is it that it comes across as a red state? Explain to me that.
So let me tell you what the problem is. The problem is that the majority of the state, okay, so Broward, Palm Beach, and Miami-Dade. Miami-Dade is not fully Democratic. Miami-Dade is a mixed county.
Oh,
Palm
okay.
Beach is a majority Democratic county, and Broward is a majority Democratic county. Miami-Dade is not. But those three counties have a large portion of the state's population. But this is the gotcha moment.
Okay.
Between Miami-Dade is like 1.8, Broward is like 1.2 million, and Palm Beach is like 1.8 million. It's like around there.
Mm-hmm.
But you got 22 million people in the state of Florida.
Right.
So the catch is that the reason we're a red state is, one, the Republicans are extremely organized.
Okay.
They stick to their topics. And Republican voters vote on their issue voters. So if the issue is cannabis legalization,
Okay.
that is their issue. They don't have all
They
these
don't care
20
about
million.
nothing else, yeah, and we get lost in the sauce transition,
we're
right?
trying to-
Because you want to Me Too this and that there, and
we're
yeah.
the big tent. The problem is that if you don't fall in line with everything in the big tent, you get kicked out of the big tent.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's what I'm a Democrat. So
Right.
as Democrats, what we need to do more of is we need to come together, walk together, talk together, and realize that not all Democrats are the same. You have conservative Democrats,
Right.
you have centrist Democrats, and you have progressive Democrats.
Okay.
The centrist Democrats are, I'm a centrist. We're the people that figure out how to get what the other two sides want to get done.
Okay.
We're somewhere in the middle.
Okay. So I see.
Yeah.
Guys, you said you kind of barter it, and
Yes.
okay, I got you.
The conservative Democrats would like to see society kind of stay the same.
Right.
And the progressive Democrats want to change everything.
Right, and just throw it away. And as much as you would like for it to happen, it's not realistic. It's
We
not
have
real.
to have a plan.
Right.
So there's
There's
a whole lot of throw it all out.
Right.
And
I got
I'm
you.
like, okay, so when we throw it all out, how does everything work when we throw it all out? Is always my question.
They're like, we haven't gotten there yet.
Right.
I haven't gotten there yet.
We'll fix it when we get there.
Right.
But what we need to realize is that we have, so there are 67 counties in the state of Florida.
Right. Gotcha.
And we only control 3
Whoa.
in Tampa.
And Tampa isn't Tampa is what Republican?
Tampa is a Democratic county with a lot of Republicans who are in it too. So
Okay.
like when they have their delegation, it's kind of like 60-40.
Okay.
But we really don't have full control over the state. There's so many people who have become independents because they're disenfranchised with whether the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, or they don't want to tell anybody they're Republican, or they don't want to tell anybody they're Democrat.
Right.
So they become independents. And there's nothing wrong with being independent except that we get to choose who the people you're going to be voting for in the general are. So when you are an independent, you in Florida, you don't get to vote in the primary. So you're voting on whoever I decided.
Yeah, so it's still Okay.
I'm like, I always
got
tell
you.
people, I'm
It
like,
still
don't be
doesn't-
independent because you're not independent because you still got to vote on whoever.
Yeah, and if they don't choose, then we're just.
You stuck with whatever we gave you.
Okay, I got you.
Because I'm choosing.
I got you.
I'm choosing.
Also, too, a lot of us don't understand, a lot of things that you did when you're here. As far as the money, as far as grants and things of that nature. Just give them a brief synopsis on that.
So I serve on full appropriations in the Florida House, and I'm a budget manager for the state's $112.1 billion budget this year. Granted, Governor DeSantis vetoed like $3 billion of it.
Right.
But there's only out of the 120 members in the Florida House, there are 20 budget managers, and I'm one. So I serve on funding everything that comes into our state. And then I serve on full commerce, which deals with all your business stuff. And I'm the ranking Democrat on agriculture and natural resources appropriations, which is, I love every bit of serving on agriculture because it's everything you touch, feel, smell, and eat. So how does things work? So the Florida House, if you're a nonprofit, we have an application process if you would like to apply for funds from the state. The state is a very fiscally conservative state,
yes.
Okay? So if you are applying for $100,000, you have to match that $100,000 that you're requesting from the state.
Right.
There are certain circumstances where if you live in a rural town or you live in an urban area or with a low income level, the state will give you an opportunity to apply and have less of a match.
Okay.
But for the most part, you have to have a match. But the application process, it starts when we start committee weeks, and then it goes all the way through to the end of session. And one of the things that I think that we need to do a better job on is making sure that one, the nonprofits in our area understand how to apply. Two, ensuring that our state elected officials actually bring back resources to our community.
Okay. And how does a person go about learning how to apply for these?
Okay, so glad you asked. So some of my colleagues will host like workshops to introduce this to the people within the community. I have not hosted a workshop. And
Okay.
I can say that what I have done is when people, right now I'm actually talking to nonprofits who have reached out to my office in reference to funding.
Okay.
And then I have my legislative aide walk them through what the application process is. But this is the thing, as your state representative, if there's something that you would like to apply for, I'm going to walk you through all the steps anyways. Right? So Habitat for Humanity is one of the projects I sponsor.
I was going to ask you about that because a lot of people want to know about that, especially housing and being able to apply and stuff like that.
Housing is, let me just say this, the Republicans and the Democrats have gotten it extremely wrong. We have not adequately mapped out housing for about 28 years.
And side note, as you see, she said both Democrats and Republicans. So it's not just pointing fingers at, one place or another. This is why I love her to death because it's about being accountable. But go ahead,
So one of the things that that needs to be done, what we did in the past 2 years is we did not, there's a trust fund, a housing trust fund, and it's paid for by the doc stamps. Doc stamps are the taxes you pay when you purchase a home.
Okay.
Right? And that money is, the Realtors Association fought for this years ago, right? To have money set aside to continue to build in areas. Well, what the state of Florida has done is it was sweeping the money and putting it in a general revenue fund, which means anything could be spent on.
Oh, wow.
Which is not what we needed done, right?
Yeah, okay.
So, but the last 2 years, there was a law passed to not sweep the funds, but my colleagues in leadership, the Republicans who were in leadership, what they did was they decided to keep $140 million of it in reserves.
Okay.
Now, the problem with that is, no, they didn't sweep it.
Right.
But we need that $140 million.
Right. It's a certain purpose if it's just sitting there.
No, and housing is multiple levels.
Right.
So it's federal.
Uh-huh.
There's federal funds involved in housing. The USDA deals with rural housing. HUD deals with urban housing.
Right.
And then you have the different housing authorities. Well, the state has a housing authority, and then there's, which is part state, part not. The state created it. And then you have your county housing authorities in your cities. So one of the things that March, I had a rally outside the old Capitol with some of my colleagues.
Right.
And we basically were like, yo, y'all getting this wrong, and we need y'all to fix this. And then all of a sudden, we found out there were 27 housing programs that nobody knew about. But it wasn't until we held a rally outside the Capitol,
right, and people
bust people in
to say, hey, this is a problem. Gotcha.
Dressed in all black like there was a funeral going on. Yeah, you know,
and this is why y'all have to talk. You have to vote. You have to.
Yes.
You have to push because again, like they say, they work for us.
We work for you. I mean, it may not seem like it, but we do. Like, I represent 185,000 people in the entire state of Florida, 22 million plus people. You guys are all my bosses, right? You elect me to make decisions on your behalf, but the truth of the fact of the matter is, we do have housing funds available, but they go so fast.
Okay.
Because we are setting aside 300 million, 370 million, 160 million. That doesn't go very far.
Right.
We need to be doing like New York. New York set aside $3 billion to do housing.
Wow.
And they started building rapid housing. So what I propose is that, well, President Biden needs to state that there's a housing crisis.
Right.
So that we can get HUD to start to do rapid redevelopment or rapid development.
Okay.
We need 100,000 single family units built. We need 40,000 multifamily units built.
Right.
So your condos. And then we also need to increase the HUD housing voucher because currently it's not enough to actually rent anywhere. Right? Because our prices have gotten
very
sky high.
They want like
$2,200.
Like, listen, just to move into a place, it's kind of like for me. I might as well just buy a house, like $8,000, $7,000. It's crazy.
So I got yelled at this year by some of my Democratic colleagues because I voted for a law that said that you could waive the down payment.
Okay.
Right? And you would have to pay a fee.
Right.
And my colleagues were like, how could you do that? How could you do that? I said, you're thinking with your middle class minds.
Right.
And everybody does not have a father, a mother, or a granny, or an aunt who can write that down payment money for you.
That check.
And I'm saying to them, listen, this is an option. This is not something people have to do. But I believe in giving people options. I don't know how they expect people to come up with $8,000 to move into a place.
Right. And
especially when, let's just be real, after taxes.
Especially someone making $12 an hour, $11 an hour, and they're constantly just working every day. And because again, we get the people say, hey, just get a job and just work. And they're doing it and they're just working just to try to survive. It's insane to me. I've met someone that did that, and I felt bad for her. She had 2 kids, and she's like, how can I get a place? So
that's my fight. Like, I literally have conversations with my colleagues, and I'm like, yo, you're thinking with your middle class brain. And right now, let me just tell you, we've had a reduction in the middle class. Mm-hmm. Some people have moved from middle class to lower income. Some people have moved to rich. Right. But the truth of the fact of the matter is that everyday Floridians are suffering.
Right.
And it's not because they're not doing the right thing. The unemployment rate is low.
Right.
The pay is even lower.
Right.
And at this point in time, I'm like, first of all, it makes no sense that when you're little, they tell you need water, food, and shelter.
Right.
And right about now, the water is contaminated. Not saying the water is contaminated in our area, but I'm just saying the water is contaminated. The food is not accessible because it's expensive. and housing is too hard. So you have 4 generations living in one home, right? And not because they want to.
Right. And people don't understand that, and it is very hard.
It is.
Very, very hard.
So one of the things that I propose is actually making our congressional district, the one that we currently are in, right? Because I'm your state representative, my friend.
You are.
But I'm just saying, like, you know how cool it is to drive past our elementary school,
right?
And I'm like, that's in my district.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's my school. So I'm like, when I'm talking to people, I'm like, I went to that school, and they're like, ma'am, who are you? And I'm like, oh, hi, I'm your state rep. And they look at me like, okay, lady, whatever you said. Right? But I'm like, I love where we grew up.
Right.
And so for me, the biggest issue I have is I know that the people that live in our area are hardworking people. They're working 3.5 jobs to try to figure it out. So how do I ease that burden? So creating a Congressional District 20 into a special district. So there's special districts that HUD can create. They can come in, build housing, do training to change the skill set of the community.
Right.
Bring in the companies who can then employ the people within that community. Because I don't want anybody being shipped in here.
Yeah, right.
I don't want anybody moving here to come get what we work for.
Ginger fry everything. Yeah, don't get me started with that.
Let's not start about that because they're not moving me out.
Yeah.
I'll keep holding on. I'm like, I'm not moving. I'm not leaving. Seriously. But I'm not laughing, but it's a reality. But so then to recruit the corporations that come in, and then for us to be able to afford to live in the community that we've lived in our whole lives.
Right.
But there are 4 of these in Texas.
Okay.
There are 3 of these in New York. Guess how many are in Florida?
How many?
Just guess.
3.
1.
1?
1. Florida has 1. And it's in Southwest Florida. And it is ridiculous that our state or our leaders have not thought to expand it to another area in Florida. We should at least have 3.
I really do agree with that.
And the thing about it is changing the income levels okay, so let me explain. So Congressional District 20 is rural,
right,
and urban.
Okay.
So the one thing that both areas have in common is income levels are extremely low.
Very low.
Compared to the other congressional districts.
Right.
But it's not because we're not working. It's not that we have, what we lack is strategic thoughts about what growth and advancement looks like for us.
Okay.
Like
that's very big. That's very big. Say that again.
Sorry. Strategic thought about what growth and advancement looks like for us.
That part.
And for us, or for me, when I sit down and look at everything, I serve on the National Caucus of Black State Legislators. I went to Taiwan for 9 days to learn about what they do with their technology and business.
Okay.
As a delegation member from Florida, I have gotten the opportunity to work in different countries to see how they protect and incubate their communities.
Okay.
We don't do a good job of that. So one of the things I'm proposing is creating a micro business administration, a U.S. micro business administration, which would include 10 and under employees, because the SBA goes all the way up to 600 employees as which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So most of our companies are 10 and under, if not 1.
Yeah.
Right? And so why are we making it hard for our micro businesses to actually grow? Because if I can't get access to capital, I can't employ somebody. And we know that within our community, in our black community, the district that we live in the house district we live in is the blackest house district in the entire state of Florida. It's also the most Democratic district in the entire state of Florida.
That is true.
And something else I need to tell you, we outvote 110 of the other house districts, whether they're Republican or Democrat. We are always in the top. We do. Right. Always in the top 10 in the primaries. So we're not ignoring voting. We participate in the process. Mm-hmm. People don't give us credit for it, but we actually outvote our white counterparts in the primary elections. We outvote them. percentage-wise, but they don't want to tell you that.
Okay.
So when people are saying, "Oh, the black people didn't come out," that's not true for us.
It's not for us. Okay.
That's not true for us in Broward County. It's not true for us, and do not let them give you that burden. We need to be looking at our white counterparts and asking them what the heck they're doing. Because it's not us.
Okay.
I can honestly say it's not us. So, but this is the thing. If we're participating in the system, we're showing up, we also need to start demanding stuff from our elected officials in a major way. And our congressional elected officials, I mean, we went to elementary school with Chelsea Hastings. Right?
Yeah, Chelsea.
How could you forget that?
No, I didn't forget.
I'm being funny. So we went to like respect due to the greats that came before us, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now
great
that we have,
man, I still love his speech on Texas.
What?
I still love his speech on Texas.
First of all,
don't get me started.
First of all, we were blessed with one of the greats.
Yes, we were.
We were, and there's a big, huge void that needs to be fixed. And on top of that, this is an opportunity for our generation to create the futures that we want.
Right.
For ourselves.
Put that stamp on.
Yeah, for ourselves and our children.
Right.
But we have work to do. And we need everyone to participate. The reason they mess up your voting laws, or my colleagues have messed up your voting laws, the reason that you see people trying to strip away rights from Americans and Floridians, to be exact, is because we're powerful.
Right.
We just have to keep.
And we have to just keep fighting and ask those questions. And how is it that
money?
Right? And how is it that, you know? And that's another thing. I just think the lack of knowledge our people, in order for us to push our agenda, how do we go out to speak to our elected officials to let them know that, like, look, we have a voice and we care? Because a lot of times I think on y'all's side, you're just like, well, I don't think they care. So
this is the funny thing. I do have tons of colleagues who don't care.
Right.
And some of them look like me. Some of them look like you. So
she doing the fuck's giving. Nah, go ahead.
No, that's why I'm always in trouble.
Right. I'm
always in trouble. But I don't care. I didn't care when I went to elementary school either.
We know. I was telling you.
So I have to say this. What we need to do is, one, when our elected officials get elected to office, we need to have a community meeting. We need to call a meeting, just like we call these forums,
right?
And we bring them in before we vote for them.
Right.
After they get in, we have a new forum, and we say, hey,
you said X, Y, and Z.
These are the 5 things we want.
Okay.
You talked about these 2. We like them, but these are the other 3 we want. You have to have a plan for what you want. So we know housing is what we want, right?
Also, education. That's another thing that we're going to talk about. But go ahead.
Education is important.
Right.
Protecting our industries, our businesses in our community.
Okay.
But if you don't tell them what it is that you expect, don't let them sit down here and be pretty princes and pretty princesses and do nothing.
Right.
Like, I brought back $3.3 million this year in direct funding to this area, and then I brought back $30 million for infrastructure.
Right.
So there's no excuses. And we live in the bluest district in the entire state of Florida. So 10% Republicans in this area. So how do I get this done? There's no excuses.
Right. At all.
None.
At all.
They get mad at me. They're like, oh, she's making friends with them. They're mad at me because I navigate how white males navigate. I figure out how to get the money, then I go get it.
It takes the emotion out.
Yes.
You take the emotion out.
You already understood.
Oh, I understand.
There's none. I need to figure out how to get money for my family.
That's it.
And District 95 is my family.
Right. Because feelings don't pay bills. Feelings don't do anything.
No. And feelings don't fix issues.
Right.
What we lack is resources.
Okay.
You have elected officials running around. They're like, we need to save the blue whales. We ain't got no blue whales. We got no blue whales.
None whatsoever. Not over here.
We've got economic issues. We've got children in schools that look the same as when we went to the schools, right? We've got. I'm gonna stop talking right now, but you already know we ain't got no blue whales.
So I'm gonna say this, and this is not it's a subject, you know, for me. I kind of had issues with, and it was very much an unfortunate situation when it came to the situation in Douglas. It really was,
Okay.
and I feel bad for those people and those parents. But my question is, because again, I'm a Dillard alumni. Similar situation happened. I'm forgiving a young girl got killed. Somebody shot. Where was those people? Where was all those legislations? Where was all those pushes when that happened?
So let's just talk about it right quick.
Okay.
I get frustrated a lot when people want to tell me what their agendas are and the things that they need are. The murders at Stoneman Douglas were major.
Very much.
The laws need to be adjusted and changed to protect them. However, let's be very clear that when injustices happen or murders happen to children that look like us,
Right.
the cries are not there. The fight to protect us is not there. We take on the issues of people who have the resources and the access to fight.
Right.
I would like for us to stay focused on protecting our children and protecting their lives. We get caught up in everybody else's stuff. Black people are the cheerleaders for everyone else's issues. And when we are like, hey, help us, we need help, everybody's like, ooh, that's not my problem. Listen, everybody looking to the side, they looking to see who. Nobody shows up for us. And the other thing is, when they do show up for us, they're trying to tell us how we should have it solved.
Right. Or how we should have done so it wouldn't have happened that way.
Right. So let me just say this. Black people are well aware of what we need.
That part.
We don't need other communities holding rallies and protests in our honor.
Agreed.
We need you to show up when we're asking for laws to be adjusted. We need you to show up when you should notice that there's resources that are not coming back to our part of town, and you should open your mouth about those resources not coming in. When they're treating our HBCUs unfairly, there's multi-millions going over here to the other, what is it called? The predominantly white institutions.
Right.
Right. What do y'all call them? PWIs. Listen, I was so disturbed the first time I heard that. I was like, I went to a PWI.
you was stressed.
What? I was upset with myself. I was like, I should have just went off to one of the schools I wanted to go to and not listen to my mother. But anyways, the PWIs get far more funding than us. We have a fight to maintain the resources that come our way. So, I don't need you to fight my fight. I just need you, when we say I need you to show up to vote to help with this issue, I need you to
show up for this issue.
Okay? So, I'm like, you're not my savior. I don't need you to save me. Help me. No, I don't need you to save me. But what I need you to do is, when I ask you to vote with me on this, I need you to vote with me on this. But what you hear is, oh, that's a black issue. But when it's their issue, oh, it's a Democratic issue. I'm like, no. My issues are Democratic issues too.
It is, yeah.
So we gotta hold people accountable. What do you want to see change first?
Just
first on your agenda.
Just for me, like I said, you pretty much just answered everything that I want to the T, and I appreciate that. Just quick question: as far as you running right now,
yes,
what is your
my platform?
Yes.
So my platform is cutting 50% of our student loan debt, moving the wiping out the accrued interest, and moving the balance to a 3% simple interest, because we're burdened right now with debts. Like, people are in their senior years and going, and your student loan debt goes with you.
Right.
It don't die when you die.
And I want that to hurry up.
You can't file bankruptcy and get rid of it either.
Damn.
She hangs out with you forever and ever. So I'm trying to get rid of her, okay? But housing, we need 100,000 housing units, 40,000 multifamily units. I want to see rehabilitation funds upped on the federal level because we don't get enough resources in to rehab our houses. And our housing stock is at 50 years old right now. We need to fix that. And so we need to increase the amount of housing rehabilitation funds coming into our area from the federal government. The other thing is protecting our Florida farmers.
Okay.
We need to make sure that there are more small farmers being able to get a chance to grow, and decriminalizing cannabis. 27 states have decriminalized cannabis.
And we're still stuck on it. It really is. It's ridiculous.
It's time for us to decriminalize it, and I think that you're going to see a fight between President Biden and Governor DeSantis, and it's going to get decriminalized in like the next 2 years. Watch it.
Okay, I appreciate that. So again, I appreciate you here. I hope you guys go out and vote, regardless of what have you. But I really want you to vote for my friend here for Congress. You see what she fight, and again, it's across the board. It's fair. And that's what, basically that's what we need. And also too, I want to say I appreciate, excuse me, just as a young black woman, everything just showing the positivity and things that we have, my daughter can look up to, be independent, on her own, not too independent, but,
too independent leaves you not married. Don't do it. You be looking at you. Don't do it. Don't listen to Beyonce. She's married. Don't listen. Sorry, I'm just joking. Be independent. Go after whatever you want.
But yeah, man. So, but again, I appreciate it, and hopefully we can come back on, and you not just as the state representative, as Miss Anika Omphroy, Congressman.
I got lots of jokes for you as your friend. Mm-hmm. Whenever you're ready to invite me back in, let me know.
Okay,
because I got jokes. I just couldn't give it all today.
But hey, again, thank you guys. I want to hear your feedback and everything. And again, go vote. I did this for y'all.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
No problem. Again, I want to thank Miss Anika Omphroy for coming on and explaining her political views. It was a pleasure, at the same time, her being a good friend of mine growing up. But now I'm going to leave you guys with one of my HB-isms, and that is, it's not the things that you say yes to, but indeed the things you say no to that shows you have integrity as a man. Thank you and have a good night.